What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another MegaTen video. So, a little while ago, I did a video where I ranked my top 10 favorite MegaTen demons. So now, people have been asking me to do one on my least favorite MegaTen demons. I'm not entirely sure why, but for whatever reason, the videos where I talk about negative things always seem to be really popular. So, let's do it. Let's take a look at the worst of the worst. These are my top 10 worst MegaTen demons. Now, before I get into it, I just want to say that this video was not easy to make. Not because it's been a topic I'm trying to avoid or anything, but I was genuinely having trouble coming up with a list of 10 demons that I actively dislike. There are a few demons that I may think look stupid or are annoying in battle or just aren't worth the effort required to get them, but if you ask me, the ratio of good demons vastly outweighs the bad, and even the bad ones, I've gotten some use or another out of most of them. Say what you want about them, but Atlas really knows how to hire some talented artists. Kazuma Kaneko especially, but I even find myself liking most of the demons from the other artists as well. Though, after thinking long and hard about it, I was able to come up with a list of 10 demons that I just don't like. Keep in mind that this list is purely my opinion, and if you like a demon on the list, that's fine. Feel free to leave a comment telling me why. But for now, let's get this list out of the way. These are my top 10 worst Megami Tensei demons. Number 10. Bale. Say what you want about his design from SMT1, but it was intimidating, it was grotesque, and it was true to the source material. But I guess most people didn't seem to like it because for whatever reason, Kaneko felt the need to give him a quote-unquote improved redesign in SMT2. I talked about why I liked his first design in my Forgotten MegaTen Demons video, while briefly mentioning that I didn't like this one, but now it's time for me to go into a little more detail. Though, do I even need to? Just look at this thing! How was such a thing even conceived? Okay, you want to take some liberties, that's fine, but how do you think of big, evil Prince of Hell demon and then you make him into a naked man riding a giant frog? Oh wait, my bad, he also has a cat around his neck and spider armbands, so good job on staying true to the source material, I guess. This thing doesn't remind me of a Prince of Hell. It looks like something you'd see in those crazy drunk people doing stupid things videos. Normally I would have put this thing higher, but thankfully he hasn't appeared in a game in over 25 years, but this design is just so bad, I had to give it a spot on here. Number 9. Lucifer. When I saw Lucifer in my first run of Shin Megami Tensei 4, I almost didn't believe that this was actually him. But it was. This was the design they decided to go with for Lucifer in SMT4. I don't know what to say. This design is just bad. When I think of the devil, there are lots of things I imagine, but a 10-foot tall bald alien in a matador costume isn't one of them. And just look at his face. He just does not look like he cares about anything. I've heard some people say that he looks like Voldemort, others have said that he looks like handsome Squidward. Well, I think he kind of looks like the engineers from the movie Prometheus. The fact that one of my favorite demons is reminding me of a crappy movie only makes me dislike this design even more. I guess I'll give them some points for at least trying to be original, and I do like what they did with his left arm, but other than that, this thing is just not a good design, and I'm glad they're going back to his old one for SMT5. Number 8. Demeter. For the most part, I find myself liking the new Doi demons. He gave Zeus a much-needed redesign, and he made SMT4's Lucifer look cool. Demeter, though, is easily the worst of them all. Demeter is the Greek goddess of agriculture and fertility, and is also the mother of a whole bunch of the lesser Greek gods. So, why then is she depicted as a little girl? Like, not only is it weird, but it goes against everything that Demeter as a character is supposed to be. According to an interview with Doi, he said that the reason he depicted her as a little girl was, and I quote, "I gave her the image of a little rascal that would make the player wonder whether she's friend or foe." So that meant he had to depict her as a child? There's nothing about this design that would make me think that. This whole design was just such a bizarre decision, and it's going to make even less sense when she appears in mainline games in the future. In my favorites list, I praised a lot of demons for being original with their designs, but demons like Demeter and Bale just go to show that taking liberties with a design isn't always a good thing. Number 7. Sanat. Just, what is this thing supposed to be? Well, according to the Compendium of SMT4, Sanat Kumara is one of the 4 sages in Hinduism who descended from Venus to speed the evolution of man, and in recent years he's become associated with Kurama Tengu or Lucifer. Well, Sanat is normally depicted as a benevolent entity, but because of his association with Lucifer, they decided to depict him as a demon. Okay, that's actually a pretty awesome idea, though I think the design might be a little too creative. I mean, just look at this mess. He has these big eyes next to his face, he's got arms coming out of his shoulder, he's got a face on his stomach, a shoulder bump with a face on his elbow, faces on his arms with claws that have faces, teeth for his hands, teeth on his elbow, teeth on his one wheel, teeth on his crotch. It looks like they started out with a pretty good idea, but then they just kept adding more and more details, and in the final design, it's all just too much. The other DLC boss demon, Ancient of Days, wasn't much better, and I thought about putting him on here at first, but I think Sanat takes the cake. Number 6. Pisaka. So, what do I hate about this thing? Is it the weird tentacle eyes? No. Is it the mouth that goes all the way down his body? Not really. Admittedly, this design is actually pretty good, so why do I have this demon on here? Well, my reason for not liking this thing doesn't actually have anything to do with the design or the games themselves. It's because of something I saw in a fan-made work. During my early teenage years of browsing the internet, sometimes my curiosity would get the best of me and I would visit a lot of websites that I shouldn't have and look at a lot of things that I shouldn't have. And I would come out emotionally scarred, and this one in particular has not left me. In this particular fan-made work, all the girls in Devil Survivor 2 get captured by the demons, and then they all get and then after they all move on to EO where they and then they decide to take turns until one of them so they do it, and the one that does is this thing, and then EO. So yeah, some degenerate in Japan decided to make some explicit material involving this thing, and because of that, I don't like it. In fact, just talking about it is giving me a headache, so whenever I see one of these things, I always kill it with Agi. Now, I'm sure people are going to say that I shouldn't let some fan fiction affect my perception of this thing, and I guess normally I would be able to look past that if this thing was actually good, but it's not. His stats are all over the place, his resistances are terrible, and his moveset ranges from total garbage to maybe 1 or 2 usable skills. The only actual use I've ever gotten out of one of these, other than being target practice for my demons, is in Nocturne, where you can buy one in the first Kalpa that knows all the out-of-battle skills, including Estoma. But in that sense, I'm not really using him, he's just there to be an HM slave. If you like this demon, that's fine, because, like I said, it is a good design. I just wish fans didn't have to ruin my mental image of this thing. And please, for your mental health, do not try to find the thing that I am talking about. Number 5. Plasma, Oriad, Asterius, and Ashma. Some of you guys may not have actually heard of these demons, and that's probably because they're exclusive to SMT4's DLC. And y'all know how I feel about that! But what makes me put them on here is that they didn't even try with these designs. They're just palette swaps of other SMT4 demons. Now, I know there are other palette swap demons in the series, and I'm not against the idea of palette swapping or recycling artwork. It can actually be a good way to make use out of a demon's old artwork after it's gotten an update. But these are all palette swaps of brand new demons that appear in SMT4. It doesn't help that you have to pay extra to get these things after already paying $50 for the base game when most 3DS games launch at only $40. I really have to wonder what was going on in their studios while they were designing these things. Hey guys, how's the new DLC coming along?
We just take Asmodeus and make him white.
Yeah, good job guys. You really outdid yourselves. Number 4. The Mitamas. Do I really need to explain why? Just look at these things. The Mitamas are based on the 4 souls of Shintoism, but why then does that mean that they're just Magatama? That's all they are. They're just Magatama that are different colors, facing a different direction and have a different facial expression. Talk about getting lazy with a design. Now, I know that these demons aren't actually meant for battling. Their only purpose in most games is to be fused with your demons to increase their stats. So I have gotten a lot of use out of these things, but still, if you can make a literal pile of rocks look original, I don't see why you couldn't have done a better job with these things. Number 3. Nemesis. I figured that I'd have to end up putting at least one of the Soejima personas on here. At first, I thought about Jiraiya or Susanoo from Persona 4, but Ken Amada's first persona from Persona 3, Nemesis, takes the cake. Just, what? Why? What is this thing even supposed to be? Like a robot with a giant wheel that doesn't touch the ground? Or maybe it's a buzzsaw blade that goes around its body? I think the most terrifying thing about it, though, is the face that's on its chest. Those really big eyes, the lack of a nose, the V-shaped mouth. It reminds me of those old Flash movies from the early 2000s. There's really not much to say about Nemesis other than it just looks incredibly stupid. And when I have to see this thing every time I use Ken for the first half of the game, it just makes me not want to use him at all. Number 2. Odin. Where do I even begin? Most of you probably know Odin is the chief deity and ruler of Asgard in Norse mythology. Even if you're not super into mythology, you've probably at least heard of Odin in some way or another. Given that he's such an important god, you would expect him to look, cool, powerful, majestic. So why then did Kaneko decide to depict him as a naked purple-skinned man wearing a Viking helmet with a spear? This design is just bad on so many levels. Like, it's not ugly or repulsive or anything, it's just bland. If Sanat was an example of over-designing a demon, Odin is what you get when you do the bare minimum. Thankfully, Odin did get a much-needed and much-improved redesign in SMT4 Apocalypse, but despite that, Atlus must really love this old design because they keep bringing it back. They brought it back for Persona 5 Royal despite coming out years after Apocalypse, and get this, before Apocalypse, Odin actually did get another redesign for Soul Hackers on the Sega Saturn, but for the 3DS remake, they went back to his old design. But I think the worst thing about Odin is that he's actually strong. Like, generally one of the best demons you can get at his level. It's one thing to have an awesome demon that I can't use because it sucks in battle, but it's even worse when I have to force myself to use a terrible demon for the opposite reason. Number 1. Diana. Oftentimes, gamers will see something in a video game and then make the assumption that it's supposed to resemble something inappropriate. Like in Pokemon, for example, there's Onyx supposedly resembling the male reproductive organ, or Castform having a big protruding chest. Well, this is the same situation, but reversed. When I saw this demon for the first time in Strange Journey, I thought, what is this, cookie dough, sandbags, tumors? But then I saw her uncensored design on the Megami Tensei wiki, and that's when I realized what they were. Just, why? I don't understand. Diana is covered from head to toe in melons, and not the kind that you eat. She has them on her head, on her waist, on her shoulders, on her knees, on her elbows, and on her feet. She has them everywhere except the one place she's supposed to have them. Diana is the Roman goddess of hunting, but when you look at depictions of her, do you see any of these? Are any of these covered in female melons? Guess what? Her design is apparently inspired by a fountain of her at the Villa d'Este in Tivoli, Italy. Now, look, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on any of this old European art crap, but there's just no way I can look at this thing and be mature about it. It looks like something I'd find in some weird out of all these different depictions, why do you go with the one that's a weird chest fountain? I really don't know what to say. I don't know how anyone can be mature about this. Just end the video.